able to join, but maybe just there we go.
Yeah. Hey. Hey.
Now we got you.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Can
I
you
think
hear
it was just a little bit of an issue. You know, I feel like
me?
yeah,
Yes. Yes.
every time I try and do lives from outside of my normal setting, then nothing seems to work. But at least we got it now.
I haven't done one of these in a while, so I'm a bit rusty as well here. How are you?
Yeah, I know. It's like I'm very well, very well. It's just Johannesburg is very hot. I'm not used to heat in May. You
Yeah.
know, Cape Town, it's usually wet and rainy at this time, but yeah, I'm in a tank top
Yeah. I
and
mean,
it's just hot.
here in Khayelitshas, like the ocean is just around the corner, so I have to
Mhm.
stay warm. You know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, yeah.
No, I get it, I get it. But how have you been?
Yeah, I've been good. I've been good. Doing what I do, keeping well,
Mhm.
making sure that I'm ready for this winter, or the preparation for everything that's coming for KFW. But yeah,
Yeah.
like I'm steady, strong. And yourself?
No, I'm really good, really good. Trying to gather as many sort of like venues for new vintage releases here in Johannesburg. You know, this is the time of the year where we like show off what we've been
Exactly.
doing in isolation for 3 months. You know, this is the winemaker's time to play.
Yeah, and also preparing for summer as well, because we've got
Yeah.
more seasons coming in now, so this is a
Hmm.
good time to push now.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. And this is usually when it's a quiet time, it's the best time to like market to people because then they're at home looking at Instagram, scrolling,
Exactly.
and that's when you sort of like want to target everybody. But it's going good. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. I'm so excited for the things you're bringing in for the industry,
Yeah.
for brands like us, we pretty much more privileged to have you around,
Now,
in the
now I'm
company.
so glad that somebody said that. Yeah. But to all of you guys, my followers, I know you have a lot of guys from your side that's also joining in on the live. But from my following side, if any of you guys don't know, Lindile is the owner of Khayelitshas Finest Wines. But I'm going to let you sort of introduce your brand and talk about it a little bit more,
Yeah.
just so that we get it more from your perspective, because you are the brand owner. I
Yes.
can represent you as much as I want to, but you know, at the end of the day, you're gonna be the one that can tell the story the best.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, obviously, I mean, as I said before, I really appreciate you Gabriela, for the platform like you're giving us. It means a lot to us. So, like, yeah, guys, to everyone that's listening to the live, from anywhere in the world where you are, like, hello, greetings from Khayelitsha. So, my name is Lindile Nzaba. I am the founder, creator, and negotiant for the brand called Khayelitsha's Finest Wines that I started 2018. So Lindile, as a person, like is born and bred in Cape Town in Khayelitsha. So I'm a native of South Africa, and I'm also an entrepreneur. So growing up, like in the township. By the way, I'm still living in the township in Khayelitsha now. So growing up, like in the township of Khayelitsha, I've always wanted to contribute in a positive way in my community. So 2009 was my entry to the hospitality industry. I was just like a regular boy coming from the township, like that, just job hunting, with no knowledge of hospitality. And lucky I got this job. Like, the guys that I worked for were just opening a restaurant. It was a beer saloon back in the days. I don't know, Gabriela, if you've been exposed to Brewers and Union.
I I have very, very briefly, but yes, I do
Yeah,
know.
like that sort of like shrine it was located. It's got a different name now, but back in the days it was called Brewers and Union. So that shrine, like, it's in the corner of Church and Bray Street. So that's where my journey into the hospitality industry began. So I started like working for the guys, like as a dishwasher, like doing all the small jobs. And I worked through up the ranks, and until to the point where I was running operations now, like managing the whole restaurant. And yeah, throughout the journey, while working in that bar restaurant, I got exposed working with wine sommeliers. Obviously, we had to diversify the market because we were the beer place. We were specializing in craft beer, but we had to cater for the wine lovers as well. So we got wine sommeliers, taking care of our list, like hosting wine tastings at the bar. And for me, coming from the township, the wine culture was new, I mean, we've always had wine in the township, but it's more like in boxed wines. And we've got huge mass production, that stuff that are flooding the taverns. But I've never been really introduced into the real wine culture. So I got more interested and I started to ask questions. And wine started to become my lifestyle now back at home. So I would want to support the local shebins. We call them shebins here at the bars. And it was true then, when I realized that there was a broken chain. There was a huge gap in the market because being educated about wine in the city where I was working and then coming back home and going to the local counter services at home, I couldn't find the quality of the wine that I was exposed to. So the brand Khayelitshas Finest Wines was born out of that frustration that I have this knowledge that I have been taught working in a bar and a restaurant, and I just couldn't find the quality of the wine in my township. So that frustration, I made me do my research more, and I started to to look at the market in the township and see how people were drinking wine, how people were talking about wine. And there was no wine culture at all. People were just drinking for the sake of drinking, of having a party. They don't care about what's in their bottle, But we've seen a significant change, through the years, with tourism. We saw a lot of people from the community, going to the vineyards, loving the wine style. So there's been always an interest, for wine in the townships. So Khayelitshas Finest Wines was born out of that frustration. So for me, I wanted to create a brand that is gonna resonate with my community, and also create a brand that's more good quality and bringing it into the township and make it accessible for the people in my community. Because I mean, I know in some other countries Mozambique, I've never tried it, but when you see a lot of people here in the township, when they drink wine, they dilute it with soda, so they want to make it more palatable. So for me, I was really, not understanding that, So I wanted to bring wine in my community that's more pure and much more premium and easy drinking. And then I wanted to get people to start to appreciate what they were drinking, because as you know, wine is a bottle poetry, is telling stories. So we have really, really, really good, passionate winemakers and the farmers in the vineyards that are really putting in the work out there. So we can't compromise the quality. We have to, So for me, I always wanted to get to fill in that gap between the townships and the city.
Mm-hmm. And I mean that's such a brilliant sort of bridge between a community that there's so much prejudice from the outside of communities like Khayelitsha.
Yeah.
If you have sort of people that's never actually interacted with the community of Khayelitsha, and I have quite extensively, being inside the community and worked with people in the community. So I have a little bit more background knowledge. You have the most knowledge about it. And, there is a lack of bridging between winemakers and the communities that they give wine, supply their wine to. And I think that, there's a social responsibility that comes with the knowledge that we have as people in the wine industry. And I feel like there's sort of there's a lack of wanting to take responsibility for creating this product that could inherently be bad, but it could also bring so much good to your community. Because I mean, Khayelitsha is booming with tourism at the moment, wine tourism. People come from overseas specifically to go to Khayelitsha's shebins because it's extremely vibrant. The culture is beautiful. So winemakers like yourself or people in the wine industry like you and I, that are trying to create the circle of people that are not only, going to be drinking wine for the sake of drinking wine. We want to create a culture that's, promoting responsible consumption of something and appreciation. Because once appreciation comes into play, then you will see that the levels of, alcohol abuse comes down, and
Exactly.
there's way more of a healthy relationship with it. But like, I would like to hear more of your opinion on that.
Well, I mean, like first of all, like with like the townships, like there's lots and lots like of gallons of wine that's like in the in the taverns at the moment, like that people are drinking, but it's just like not like into the real, it's not like real good quality. It's more like big corporate companies, and then they're just bringing in wine here to make fast sales. I mean, it's working for business, but like for a wine culture, it's not doing anything, because small brands like us, like we are really promoting like mindfulness, and also like trying to get people to drink more responsibly. And also, like, there's a lot of assumptions like around wine, like, even like people from my community, I know that, like, when they think about wine, they think it's nothing to do with them. Because I mean, we locally here, we eat different like sort of like food. So like people always associate like wine with like cheese boards and like charcuterie board, and like back at home we're eating like a smiley. We're eating like a tripe, which is like a sheep's stomach or a cow's stomach. So it doesn't feel like it relates to what we grew up like eating in the township. So for me, that's why I want to create that platform to make it more to make it less intimidating for the guys, to tell them like listen, it doesn't have to be a specific like cheese to pair with wine. You can have wine with your with your local food, because I mean, it all depends on the structure of the wine and the structure of the food and the richness of them. So you find balance in between, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree with you. I think that because wine comes from, it's historically, European. So we try and keep towards like that European standard, forgetting that South Africa is a multicultural place.
Yes.
And we've got so many different types of cuisines, languages, preferences,
Exactly.
Probably more than any other place in the world. So I think that definitely creating a sort of culture of adapting our wines to the way that South Africans consume it, that is definitely like a very good sort of incentive to have. But you are going to have like your big estates, because your big estates, they have the consistency. You have estates are known for their consistency. They put out the same thing every year. There's like slight vintage variation, but you know that that's basically what you're going to be getting. Now, the difference between independent producers and estates is that there is a quality consistency, not necessarily a vintage consistency. Like celebrating the vintage variation is very, very big for independent producers. And we spoke about this the other day, where we were talking about all the different vintages, different brands of cultivars, and you and I were both agreed that you have to sort of keep and market towards a specific palate. But I would like to hear from you, where do you really think that South Africa is going? Because obviously it's a very noticeable change that our wine industry is going through. But where do you think we're going to be in the next 10, 15 years? Because a lot happened over the last 5 years. I mean, we had the pandemic, and now we have this boom of independent producers. And I feel like these independent producers are actually going to be taking over the industry and start sort of overtaking the much larger estates. But what is your opinion on that?
Yeah, well, like this is what I pick up mostly, is that like a lot of people like, think like independent winemakers and independent brand owners are a threat into their like sort of like value chain, like we living in the world where our consumer like is sort of like doing a reverse TA now, so the consumer is literally telling the producers what they like, what they drink, what they're drinking. So we have to listen to that, It's the same as like international market, you know, like we have a lot of like wine like that's been exported to the US market now. So, you know, we can't just like say like we're gonna produce wine and then just send it over there. We have to like you know, like listen to everyone in the value chain. Like, you know, we must depend on the feedback from our like exporters, like our distributors and retailers and the end consumer, you know. So it has to work that way. We have to listen to the consumer. But to look at like the way that South African wine is being received internationally, I think our wine is starting to get more recognition now, and people are starting to appreciate that like we're doing proper wines in here, you know. So we are really going on direction with that.
No, that's very, very true. And I mean, we can see there's a lot more exports into the US. We can see that we've already solidified ourselves in the European market, and we can see that we are also sort of getting into the Asian market as well.
Exactly.
So South Africa's wine industry is in places that we never actually thought that we were going to be at. And if you have to look at the wine stylistically, it changes through the decades from the 70s all the way through to the early 2000s. There was sort of like this full, rich, bold, you know, almost like a typical Californian style of wine. And ever since the early, like the 2010s, we've started moving towards a much more like trying to find a typical South African style. We really tried to find our own style of winemaking, and I feel like the independent producers are really like driving the whole expression of terroir and putting that out there.
Yeah, I mean we've got very diverse like wine growing regions here in South Africa. We've got like West Coast, we've got East Coast, Stellenbosch, we've got Swartland. So like all of these like regions that are growing and producing wine, they all got different terroir. They all got different temperatures. They've all got like different soil type, you know. So each and every region has got like a specific, you know, like flavor and true expression of the origins of where the wine is made. You know, the one thing I love about South Africa, South African winemakers and the vineyards, they really respect like their area, like the you know, the region. They respect the soil type they have, and they respect the climate condition they have. So they're only focusing on growing wines that are suitable for that specific area to be grown to, you know. So we've got a lot of diversity in growing wine. You know, we've got like Swartland producing more like Rhone styles. We've got like Stellenbosch producing more like Bordeaux styles like wines. And like, you know, with I mean, you know, we are the generation of information. Like, you know, we more like adding more innovation into the industry, especially the winemakers. We have to give credit to the upcoming like generations in the winemaking in the vineyards, like the custodians, you know, because they bring in new innovations, trying to better like the older like wine producing styles to make it more relevant to what the market wants now, but also keeping the origins of what the grapes like is suitable to you know, in the conditions where it must grow, you know. So I mean, we see a lot of innovations now, like, you know, with the new winemaking styles. I mean, I was having a conversation like with my friend the other day, talking about the pinotage that we really need, like in South Africa, like a more drinkable pinotage, you know, like which is like also like quite a difficult grape to work with, you know. So like innovation and diversity, we're definitely going far with it.
Yeah, I mean that's brilliant, because we might be the oldest New World country, but we are still distinctively New World. And I feel like that we trying to find this, but we're at the point in our wine industry's history where we're trying to find that balance between old and New World, because we're trying to do the New World style while also paying that homage to the old world, because we were the very first place that they decided to bring, you know, grapevines too. So we're the very, very first place outside of Europe. Yeah.
It was like 1600, I remember, like the classes when they taught about us about that. But I mean, like wine itself, like, you know, it's a bottle poetry. I mean, with KFW, I mean, this is what exactly we're expressing and showcasing. Like, you know, we're showcasing freedom, showcasing like diversity and creativity in the industry. I mean, like, as a country, South Africa is coming from a very, very rough background. So today, to be a people of color and being able to have your own brand is really, you know, like showing like freedom on how free we are and how things have changed through the past, you know. So, I mean, I think like, you know, the wine industry is going on the right direction now, you know, with more diversity and inclusion as well.
No, that's absolutely true. I mean, we've got so many producers that are sort of at the forefront of let's just say the diversity revolution, because if we're being completely honest, the South African wine industry was always sort of like the circle that lacked diversity, and it was one of the industries that refused to move out of the status quo. It was one way, and that was the way only. And it took a very long time, much longer than a lot of other industries, not just the wine industry, but agriculture as a whole.
Exactly.
And at this point in time, a lot of the winemakers that, let's just say, that my generation that I would be graduating with in the winemaking, sort of in the winemaking degree with, a lot of people say that they're actually very happy and privileged to be in South Africa's wine industry at this very point in time, because we're watching everything unfold in real time instead of having to learn about it in history books. And that just makes you appreciate your position a lot more, and it gives you a lot more sort of sense of responsibility, because now you have this skill, you have this opportunity, and you're at this point where you have the freedom of expression to actually allow to actually change an entire industry. And I'm very, very proud to be working with a lot of people that I've had the privilege of working in cellars with. I mean, my entire team for this particular harvest, they were the most amazing team that I've ever worked with. And they actually they would ask me, like, what is it like being a person of color in this industry?
Yeah.
And I would tell them the blatant truth, and they would actually sit and work through it with me. We would talk about it. And that's the most beautiful thing, because let's just say 20, 30 years ago, you couldn't do that.
Yeah.
And
No.
you couldn't do that. And we actually at the point in South Africa's wine industry where we actually have this beautiful sort of open communication with everyone in the industry. And everyone's willing to talk, everyone's willing to make a change.
Exactly.
And that is something that we are extremely, extremely privileged to have.
Yeah. I mean, you know, just like with my brand, like, you know, purpose as well, like, you know, if I want to touch on that as well, you know, when I created like Khayelitshas Finest Wines, you know, it's been like a really project that I took some time to plan it. You know, I've realized that, like, you know, like, I mean, if you talk about the townships as well, you know, like Khayelitsha is one of the biggest townships in South Africa. And like, it's been like really badly painted out there. So I think, like, you know, with brands that are innovative like mine, you know, they sort of like raising a voice in the wine industry, you know, saying like, you know, as much as there's like a lot of negativity happening in the township, there's also like a positive side as well. Like, you know, so brands like mine, like, are really uplifting the marginalized and underprivileged communities through wine, you know. So I mean, like, we are really in a good space, to be honest, like just across the board, honestly, you know.
No, that is really true. And I mean, a brand like Khayelitshas Finest Wines, you're using the township as your sort of brand base. And you being the ambassador of your brand, you obviously want to have that story told properly wherever it goes. And I know that we had this conversation the other day about having Khayelitshas Finest Wines overseas. And but I don't actually know how much of that project you want to tell everybody. So I think you should tell us a little bit about where you are going before I say too much.
Okay, so my team is gonna kill me. I want to apologize to them. We were supposed to make like this announcement, like, you know, like early next week. But I mean, as I said, like, I haven't done a live, and I feel like I'm doing it with the right, you know, colleague in the industry as well. Like, you know, I might as well. So yeah, we so like in 3 weeks time from now, like Khayelitshas finest wine. So which means me, I will be traveling to the US, in Delmarva area, going to promote Khayelitshas finest wines and relaunch like a distribution in that area. It's been a project that I've been working for almost a year now, since last year, and we finally got in the wine like in Delmarva area. So when I mean Delmarva area, I mean like Delaware, DC, Washington, Maryland, and Delaware as well. So we've got a very extensive like wine dinners and wine tastings, in-store wine tastings in place, which we're going to announce like in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, man, it's been like a really, it's always something that I've wanted, like as a brand, to tap into the international market, and especially like find like people who are really passionate about my brand. So I feel like I'm working with the people that are really backing me now, and then they want to see the brand prosper. And so yeah, we're really excited for that development and that movement that's going to be taking place in June.
That is so exciting, and I'm so happy that we were actually able to share, because I feel like I would have overshared a lot of other things. But just everybody that's saying congratulations to you in the comment section. But thank you guys for always showing support.
Hi, Lorraine.
But yeah, that's everybody celebrating with you, and every single person's success, especially with smaller batch producers. The success of small batch producers is actually the thing that drives our industry. You can have very, very big estate brands going overseas and then sort of mass selling to everyone. I mean, I found some ridiculously priced wine that goes for like 1/10 of the price here in South Africa. I found that over in Europe. And it's great to have that in a wine shop when you go overseas and you go, you find a little bit of home over there. But sometimes you want to be able to just have everyone's wine over there. And I feel like independent producers that take the initiative, and small batch producers that take the initiative to sort of represent themselves overseas, and take South Africa to this new level, because you're not just uplifting one industry, you're taking South Africa as a whole to another country.
Exactly.
And you're making the nation proud. To be corny about it, you're making the nation proud.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. I mean, I have like, since I began, like, a lot of people have been like really watching how the brand grows, and like, I mean, I think this is the biggest like milestone we've ever achieved now, like to be able to go out and represent South African wine as a country, in the international market, telling my story, telling South African wine story. But like, as startups, like as small producers, like, it's not easy for us to navigate these international markets, like, it's very difficult to actually get attention from like importers and like and the wholesale distributors, so these things, like this is one thing that I've learned throughout the years, is that like nothing really happens overnight. You just have to have lots and lots of patience and keep your focus in there, because eventually things will start happening, so I mean, it's just difficult for us. And like, I would really like ask anyone and tell anyone out there now who is in a startup position like us, to be really patient and just focus on promoting their brand, like the non-stop.
That's actually that's absolutely, I see a lot of more people are saying congrats to you. But yeah, I can't wait to taste the new batch. I hear you. Not the only one. I see. You're also planning on doing a new release pretty soon. We spoke about that the last time we saw one another.
Yes. So we are in the process of like sort of like scaling up our production, like, gradually, like, we don't want to rush the process. We catering for, at the moment I'm catering for a shop in Hong Kong, and like we gonna be soon, we in like already 4 states, like in the US, and then we've got South Africa as well to look after. So like, we're still like finding balance in there. Just like I mean, like after June, we will be like bottling new vintages, which is gonna be like the same ones that we currently have on our offering now, which is a red blend, which is a beautiful like drinking like winter wine, which has got like components of like Syrah and Cab. This is an interesting like red blend that I worked very closely like with the winemaker at the vineyard that I work with. So like the Syrah, we got it from a 21-old vineyard, like sort of like decomposed granite soil. And when we got like the Cab, which is bringing like a nice, beautiful acidity into the blend, which we got it from a block which is like 6 years old. So the wine is is quite more herbal, like more easy drinking, like more fruit forward. It's got fruit purity in it. And then we've got like a beautiful like white blend at the moment, which is 2023 vintage, which is got components of like Semillon, Chenin Blanc, and Sauvignon Blanc. So two of these wines, like Semillon and the Chenin Blanc, they're coming from a different block, which is like decomposed granite soil, and then like the Sauvignon Blanc is coming from like a rocky sandy stones area. So like my wines, like they are really like expressing like their terroir, like where they are from, so like it's nice to mix this diversity, like the diverse area, like because Pocatry Hills, like you can see like it's facing to, it's got more exposure to both oceans, and it's also facing Stellenbosch side and also facing Table Mountain. So the climate is very diverse, like so for me to have these two wines on offer is a privilege, and like I'm looking forward to like release more like more wines throughout the year, or next year. I don't know when will that be,
Yeah, I mean that's so great, and I mean we spoke about how and what it takes to expand a range,
Yeah,
and how you can't just do it overnight, and we spoke about it extensively as well, and just having the patience to get to all of your different milestones little by little.
yeah,
And a lot of people will look to you once the brand is more established in the States. People are going to look to you and they're going to say, oh, well done. And, you're going to say, I didn't do it overnight, because it literally doesn't happen overnight. And I think a lot of people actually, they misunderstand a lot of the processes of getting your brand established and getting people. There's one thing to make wine. You put some grapes. It could literally be as easy as you put some grape juice in a vessel, you put some yeast, you stabilize it, and at the end of the day, it ferments.
yes,
It could be as simple as that. That is how easy it is to make wine. But then having to make it and getting people to actually enjoy your wine, drink your wine, taste it, and then continue supporting it. That takes a lot of work, like to just establish your brand. And it never happens overnight. But one thing I want to ask you is, establishing yourself in an international market now, do you think that producing more, do you think that it's going to be a little bit more difficult to sort of keep that quality while upping your production? Because usually with a lot of independent producers that we've seen in recent years, we've seen that their production of, like, the quality of production has sort of like gone down or either plateaued, because usually small batch producers, they try and one-up themselves every year, or they try and change it up every year. Whereas when they start increasing their production, it gets difficult to, experiment on these large volumes. So do you think that you would be able to sort of keep that quality with the amount that you're planning on expanding?
Well, I mean, we've got a lot of wine, like, sitting like in the cellar at the moment that's unbottled. So, for me, like, I'm really, very, really patient with growth. I don't want to rush things, because the opportunity that came to me was like, hey, we want to take your brand like nationally in the US. And like we had to condense this deal down to say like, hey, listen, it's not gonna work to just quickly expand to all like of 55 states in the 50 states is 50, yeah, 50 states in the US. So we have to focus, like, and like in like a couple of states, and let's see how things are happening there, and see how we can, you know, like manage the demand and see how we can gradually grow from there, you know. So like controlling like few states, like to have our product in, like just allows us to actually control the quality of the wine, because the minute it goes big, you know, the quality starts to change now, you know. So I mean, for me, I think like the more strategic plan is to actually expand the range. So like with the blend that I have now, which is like still scalable, you know, I mean, we can do like quite a good decent amount that can supply few states, but like adding more wines to the range that are also scalable, you know, without compromising their quality. I think that's going to be my strategy, to just add more like lines, more varietals, because I only got like the red blends on offer now. So I want to have my own Chenin, I want to have my own Rosé, I want to have my own Pinotage. So like slowly growing to that, and then just managing the demand as well, you know.
Mhm.
So that's my strategy, because I mean, at the end of the day, it's you know, you have like a specific amount of wine that you want to sell on a year, and you get like a lot of sales, and then like you don't want to sell out, you know, you want to sell the
Mhm.
wine. So it's a very it's a tricky process to manage, but you have to be there and monitor that process yourself, you know, and sort of like have a strategy for the next 5 years as well. Like, you know, just don't only think about now that you want to push the wine. Think what it's going to do to the market. You're going to create a demand, and then like you won't have a wine now to sort of like supply into the market. So you have to be strategic about that, you know.
Mhm. And I think that's the biggest problem that we have with the small batch producers and a lot of the independent producers is volume. I think volume has probably been our biggest issue. And I mean, I'm somebody that takes wine over to Europe and to the States, and that's been my consistent issue with a lot of the independent producers that I represent, is always going to be the volume. But I see a lot of people actually have started expanding ranges, doing exactly what you were
Yeah,
saying. So it's sort of like it's a tried and tested, and
yeah.
it's something that works. So it's really great that we're able to sort of,
Yeah.
instead of compromising on quality, we just expand ranges, which can be difficult to develop, but it's better to be patient. I think that's the theme of this whole live, is being patient, actually.
For the value chain, you know, because like, like building like a relationship with your distributors and your sales force like overseas, it takes a lot. So like, you know, you can't just spread yourself thin and just want to go like nationally, and then you are not able to keep up with the demand, you know. So I like, for me, I don't want to rush myself as much. Everything is like is more like promising, but you know, you just need to manage it as well. I mean, obviously as well, like everything is happening from my tiny pocket. So
Yes, no,
yeah,
that's true. That is something that actually that I have to give a lot of credit to a lot of you guys that are the smaller producers. A lot of credit to you guys, because everything sort of comes out of pocket. Not a lot of people come to the table with investors.
no,
So
it's a,
sort of it's just something that you have to do little by little. You have no choice.
it's a huge challenge for us as startups. Like, you know, it's um especially like me, like I'm coming from a very like underprivileged community, and like I don't have like uncles, like, you know, who can back me up, you know. So it's just difficult to get like capital and get mentorship, you know. I mean, I know myself, like I've been knocking on a lot of doors, and like just like, you know, just couldn't find like the what I was looking for, you know. But I mean, it's just like a matter of being patient again, you know, like just that small, you know, and like don't just that small, like just invest in your knowledge first, and then start, you know, and then just grow slowly, you know. Because I mean, when I started Gabriela, you know, I had a full-time job, um, which was like I was working in retail, which was, you know, was really interesting for me, because when I started Khayelitshas Finest Wines, I had a full-time job, you know. So I had to do all my promotions like after work, you know.
Yeah.
And then like I always work like late shifts, like, you know, and it's been crazy, you know, like coming from work, going to open wine, going to Tambo's Finkel for activation. I had to put all the big smile. I've been smiling from early morning. I'm tired now, you know, and
Yeah.
you know, balance between the two, you know. I mean, those are the things like entrepreneurs, like real entrepreneurs, like, you know, are going through, you know, like, you know, everyone just thinks like, you know, this entrepreneurship thing is that's easy. It's just like a walk in the park, you know. Like real entrepreneurs are on the ground, you know. They fighting every day, you know. They're trying to make things better, and like, you know, it's difficult. Like, honestly, it's not easy. You know, it's not easy.
Yeah.
Everyone just see like a beautiful social media, traveling. There's a lot be happening behind the scenes there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot happening
That's
behind.
so true.
Yeah,
So true. Absolutely.
yeah. I mean, I had like, you know, I was working with a mate of mine that helped me kickstart the brand. I don't know if you've heard of him. Like, you know, he's called the Wine Thief. The
Mm-hmm.
Wine. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
you
yeah.
and
He
me.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a very close friend of mine. He helped me start the brand. You know, and yeah. So I mean, you know, like the amount of time I spent with him, like learning how to wax the wine. You know, like I had to get wine from Cali store coming in unlabeled, unwaxed. I had to put the wax in my pot and wax the wine myself and make sure it looks shiny. And I have like another guy that's helping me here in the township, just helping me polishing the wine bottles, making sure they shiny. You see, those are the underdog stories. You know, those you know. But I mean, you know, success doesn't come overnight, and I believe there's no success without hard work. You know.
Yeah. Absolutely. That is so true. But I think we're coming to the end of our live now. But just something that I would like you to do is just to say to the last of the viewers that's currently joining us right now. Is there anything that you would like to tell them either about your brand or just a little piece of advice, especially from I see a lot of young winemakers on here, and I see a lot of young soms that's actually joining us right now. So everybody could learn from independent producers. So is there anything you want to sort of say to anybody right now?
Well, I mean, we've mostly covered everything, like, you know, throughout the interview now. But yeah, I mean, like, if there's anyone who is really inspired about my brand out there, I really want them to know that, like, you know, these things like don't happen overnight. Like, you must be fully invested, like with knowledge before. You know, they always say like, just start. You know, that's not the case. Like, you know, you can't just start without the knowledge. You know, like you have to get somewhere. You have to find knowledge, find out what you wanna do. Like for me, like I started like in the wine industry. I started to love the product. I mean, so I'm doing something that I love. I always say, like, you know, find something that you love and make it a business, you know. So before executing anything, invest in your knowledge, and obviously, create more network. You know, things don't happen overnight. So what I would say to anyone, you know, who would really love to work with me, especially the wine soms, like, you know, they have been really wanting to get access of me. I am really accessible. I'm just like a DM away. So I am a brand that's like still upcoming. I know it looks successful, but we are looking for more footprint in the industry. So we are our doors are open to work with everyone. So we don't have specific people that we work with. So everyone is welcome to work with us. So let's, for the love of South African wine, let's get together. Let's talk about wine. Let's educate each other. Let's celebrate the, you know. And anyone who would love to purchase our wines, they must look out for the developments that are coming through Gabriela. There's some extensive like wine tastings that are going to be happening, blind tastings like that are going to be happening in Joburg. I don't know if I should hint them, but yeah, including KFW and like to purchase, you know, at Gabriela's Wine Club. And we also got our own online store. If people want to buy online, people can just go in there and sign up and become a member, and then we will get them, like they will be the first to hear the new releases and all the new news about the KFW. And yeah, I mean, let's work together.
100%. But thank you so much, Lindile, for joining in and having this chat with me this evening. It's been absolutely great just chatting about South African wine and the sort of the future of our industry.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hope we have a lot more lives like this. And definitely, we're not going to give away too many secrets about what wines are going to be in the lineup. But I think this live gives everybody a little bit of a hint. But yeah, you must enjoy the rest of your evening. To you and everybody else that is still online with us right now.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Gabriela. Thank you for having me.
Yes, no problem. Thank you for joining. But cheers.
Cheers.